Hi, thanks for joining me in this video. This video, I'll be discussing spousal sponsorship, but specifically genuineness of a relationship and how you can demonstrate that. Now, you can use the pointers that I'm going to give you in this video and apply it to common law applications. You can apply it to conjugal as well, or even any other PR applications that are family-based. Spousal sponsorship applications demonstrating your relationship, the genuineness of your relationship is the key factor to an approval versus a refusal. This is the base. It's not about money. It's not about language. It's not about age. It's nothing except that you are admissible to Canada, so there's no inadmissibility issues, and that this is real, that you didn't pay someone $30,000 and get PR for yourself. Now, the other key factor here is that the officer cares about the genuine intent of the applicant, not the genuine intent of the sponsor. So the sponsor is the PR card holder or the Canadian citizen who's trying to sponsor their partner to Canada. What the officer wants to know, of course, you want to add documents from the sponsor as well, but your focus should be the genuine intent of the applicant. What type of communication does the applicant have with the sponsor? Who has the applicant told about the relationship? Friends, family members. The personal statement should be from the applicant. The communication, when you read the communication, what in the text messages, in the emails, what's the content of those from the applicant? Not necessarily on the sponsor. So a lot of times I do see this where the sponsor very much is freely expressing their emotions and feelings towards the applicant, and then I see a one-liner from the applicant saying, "Oh, thank you, I love you too." This can be seen in a negative light by the officer. So when you're adding documentation, you want to make sure that you look at from the officer's perspective, and we care about how does the applicant feel? The sponsor already has Canadian citizenship. So obviously we know that there is no other benefit except to be reunited with their loved ones. However, the applicant could have alternative motives. They could want Canada's PR status, which means it's not genuine in their intent. It's an application of convenience. You got married to this person and it's convenient for you because you get to come to Canada. And so that's what the officer is assessing. So what kind of documents can you include to demonstrate the genuineness? Communication, personal statements, reference letters, travel itineraries, Facebook chats where the world knows about your relationship. The more people that know about your relationship on the applicant and the sponsor side, the better it is. That doesn't mean that every relationship we sit there and advertise to the world that we're married. Sometimes we can't because parents don't approve of our partners, or family members may not approve of the partner you've chosen. If that's the case, you want to emphasize that in the personal statement, that we are stuck despite the fact that we love each other, but this is our issue. For those of us who are married, we all have our issues. So the officer wants to genuinely know the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so if there are issues like parents not consenting to the marriage, or maybe family members opposing to your relationship, this is your opportunity to explain to the officer in regards to the lack of documentation. We have a lot of arranged marriages, for example, where the sponsor is not able to cohabit with the applicant. And so despite having a marriage certificate, despite being married, until the visa is approved, they can't really live under the same roof because the cultural barriers don't allow for that. There are customs and traditions that need to be followed. If that's the case, you want to ensure that the officer knows about this and not omit the information. Officers are well versed with most cultures and traditions. You need to emphasize that this is my culture. This is why I did this and followed these steps. This marriage, this relationship is genuine. These people approve of our relationship. These people do not. Maybe those people were very important to you, but they never attended your marriage. For example, mom and dad didn't approve of your marriage and they didn't attend the marriage ceremony. So not explaining to the officer is going to have a big question as to why mom and dad were not part of the ceremony, part of a very critical moment in your life. And so you are going to get a procedural fairness letter having to explain this. But it's almost like the officer is asking a question that you should have openly informed the officer and given that information. Now you're stepping on a stone where the officer is saying, okay, I don't see the dots adding up, so explain. And so it's better for you to be upfront to the officer. One, you can potentially reduce processing time, but two, the officer gets to build a relationship with you where you openly are expressing yourself. If you don't do a good job with even at the procedural fairness letter point in time, you are then going to be requested to attend an interview. Now, these interviews can be quite intimidating. Many people who attend these interviews fail at the interview stage. Despite the relationship being absolutely genuine, they mess up on the question. They get the questions confused because the officer asks the exact same question in 2-3 different ways, and you think it's a different question, so you have to give a different answer. Meanwhile, it's the same question. And so you can be caught in a situation that you could have avoided had you submitted a complete and honest application from the get-go. Most of our clients do not receive an interview because the file is thorough. We check all our T's, dot all our I's, because we want to make sure that the officer understands your relationship, that the applicant is genuine, and any lack of documentation or following your customs, we inform the officer that this is why this was not followed, this is why this person didn't attend. And so if you're doing a spousal sponsorship application and you don't know if you have sufficient genuine relationship documents in there, please give us a call. Thank you, and until next time.